Hi everyone, our guest tonight is Dagon from Inquisition. Nice to see you again. Yesterday in Slovenia, the Europea Blasphemia tour ended. Did you have a good time on the road?
It was very good. Excellent crowd there. Yep, the whole tour was very, very good. In a few days, this coming Friday, it'll be obviously the first time in Cairo and possibly the first black metal band to be in Egypt. And the first American metal band. I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but I think it holds a lot of meaning to us because it may be a gateway to kind of opening the floodgates of black metal to another part of the world. So,
as we all know, you're really into ancient cultures, and some people refer to Egypt like and the pyramids as the possible key to the universal knowledge and alien contact. What do you think about that?
Well, not really what I think, but my beliefs are, in general, it's kind of a multiple question there. Even though it's all theoretical, I think it's a strong theory that I don't find it crazy or simply mythological. I think there could be scientific facts that can prove that our mere existence here on Earth comes from something greater than ourselves. And usually people think of something greater than ourselves as a God, an invisible, almighty, powerful force that created man, created this planet. But if you want to use the name God, I would say the universe itself is a God. It's the body, the universe, and the laws of physics, science, thermodynamics in general are the laws He has put in place for something greater, and that's always going to be the mystery of life. But when we talk about these aliens, or to be just clear, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that these deities that the Sumerians talked to us about in their clay tablets of the sons of Anu coming to Earth for their own reasons, own important reasons, doing some experiments, trying to create a very intelligent, evolved species that they were looking to create. It's very difficult to be clear on this whole topic because I'd have to walk everyone through the whole story. But yeah, it's what I believe. Let's put it this way: I don't think that, even though science says that everything is an accident, that's what science can prove. Science can only tell us this is all of an accident. It's one amazing, miraculous accident. The universe even exists. But what science, and not even religion will ever explain is why there was this accident. There's always a reason. Everything has a reason. And that's where when I start to believe somebody else had a reason for us to be here.
Some of these gods and mythical creatures actually have a kind of reptilian looks. So one of the theories also about that.
Because the type of skin, everything, the physique, the biomechanics of reptilians are basically evolved or created to resist the atmospheres of not literally the atmosphere, but the ambience of the universe. And that's another mystery. We could say, why do we look the way we look? Why don't we look like giant mosquitoes? Or we look the way we look because we evolved this way, but we evolved out of something that was created first, and evolving means improving. But I don't think just life itself evolves itself. There's something, I think, above us. That it's like creating a computer. Computers are now going to get to the point where they evolve by themselves. But we, the gods of that computer, will always be monitoring and watching and observing how these computers evolve. They will always need us, one way or another. And that's why I see it. We're like little computers being observed by our gods. Those who came from the heavens to the planet Ocean. Planet Ocean is Earth. And it's a very long story, a very beautiful story. And all the Abrahamic religions basically stole the story from the Sumerians. They all stole it. Everything. All the Abrahamic religions. When they talk about the flood, but he talked about the flood. The flood was necessary. It was a very important moment for the earth to replenish itself and create a new beginning. So this liquid soup we call the ocean could be used as this laboratory to create and harvest life and evolve it from there into these reptilian species that eventually became dinosaurs and then existed for millions of years. Why?
Don't you have a feeling that Hollywood is about to prepare the mankind for some sort of great secret that we were not able to handle centuries ago?
I think instead of Hollywood, it would be Catholic Rome. I think this Pope we have right now. Right, when I say we, I'm obviously refer to this planet. We have this Pope. He's a very different Pope, and he presents a high risk to the church because the Pope, he feels like he needs to reveal some truths that the church, we have all suspected this for centuries, right? All that the Catholic Church guards many secrets, and they do. One of those secrets is who Jesus really was. The Pope is this close to wanting to basically explain. I think he's the first Pope to realize the world is now an absolute different machine. People are not stupid anymore. They're not. People are much more intelligent today in the last probably 30 years than maybe ever before, in a relative sense. And we're not fools anymore. And they need to tell us, for example, who Jesus really was. And when that happens, a lot of things are going to change. Because one of the theories I have, and many people have, is that Jesus was almost alien-like. And we've heard this before. But not alien as what we were talking previously. I mean, he wasn't some Anunnaki, but he was just somebody who had a supremely high level of intelligence. And he had a better, like a Leonardo da Vinci or something like that. He understood how things worked. Life, almost probably understood science in his own way, and he was able to do amazing things. And so imagine this. If people like him existed then imagine if there were more people like him. And who were they? Where did they come from? Why? Of course, we call them messiahs, or gods, or angels, But you go back 5,000 years previous, and the Sumerians, first civilization, huge civilization, first, they had it written down. They explained it, who these people were. but they didn't call them messiahs. I don't recall the origin of that word right now, but it's definitely used in the Abrahamic religions. Messiah is the Messiah. But that's the biggest secret. It's, of course, in Hollywood ties in closely with the church and politics. So, but the greatest power, which is the church, and that's why they have so much power, is they have a lot of those secrets that you're talking about. That we don't know. That's why they call them secrets. But I think one of them is who Jesus really was, why and how did the church become so powerful, and why in the Middle East, a very small specific area, why is that so important? And people don't want to talk about that. And it seems like it's just a dry desert full of rocks and mountains and some important temple right in the center. And look at all the chaos that's happening in that area of the world and the entire world for thousands of years. The Jesus secret and why is, specifically speaking, Jerusalem itself so valuable to so many people around the world. And I don't mean valuable in a religious sense. No, there's not a whole lot of natural resources either there. So it's not a big oil area. Pretty interesting stuff.
It is for sure. Do you believe that Jesus actually possessed the power that the church talks about? Walking on water, turning water into wine? Or it was more like just a metaphor?
I think it's a lot of both. A lot of both. Because there were other people like him in those days. I mean, I only know what I read. Maybe I'm wrong. But from what I've read and I've been taught, there were many people like him. And of course, they were artists of illusions, and that's why they figured he was a liar and a magician. But there were many. That's how Samaria was built. That's how these ancient kingdoms were built. They didn't become what they became because of just normal, average people. No, just amazing brains, amazing brain power. And where did that come from? And why us? Why do human beings have that ability to be so advanced? If we are an animal, why are we this type of animal? Why the dominant species, like the dinosaur, it ended? And then it was a couple hundred, 200, 300, 400 million years, right? These reptiles roamed the earth. So they succeeded. They were not a quick trend. Homo sapiens is a quick trend. All of a sudden, here we are. Where did we come from? Jesus was a Homo sapiens. He wasn't a Cro-Magnon or a Neanderthal. He was a Homo sapiens. Bigger brain, everything we've been taught. We already know what the Homo sapiens is. It's us, right? But he just appeared all of a sudden, out of nowhere. Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, those later species, or distant cousins, they evolved for many, many hundreds of thousands of years. And nobody has been able to really accurately, clearly understand how the Homo sapiens all of a sudden just became so advanced and just popped out of nowhere. I'm exaggerating a little, but essentially that's what it is. So you have this one extremely advanced, skilled, agile, just this perfected species of human being, us, the Homo sapiens. And that's what Jesus was. He was one of those. one of us, and we all have the ability to be someone like him. You know, not everybody has that gift of or the desire to want to be that advanced, but we are by design. We can all be like that guy, and somebody made us that way. Somebody made us that way.
If you should pick an art or a piece of art that represents mankind to an alien race, what would be your choice?
Something that represents humanity.
Yeah.
Probably music. Probably music, because you're creating. Music projects this invisible wave we call sound. It's very impressive, because when you paint, you know, sculpture and painting and, you know, all those arts, it's amazing. I can't do that. You know, I'm not a painter, but you can, you know, poetry, and it's beautiful stuff. But music really shows something very impressive in another way, because we also use the technology. So we've developed, for example, the instruments. We have an understanding that if you tighten a string more, it creates a higher pitch because it's faster vibrations. So, and from that came notes, and then we evolved into musical scales, and those scales can make you feel different ways. Happy, sad, we're like psychologists, but magicians at the same time. We can all of a sudden make you feel a certain way. We don't make you, but normally more so than not. That's magical. But then the instruments we use, and like today, all this technology and these computers, and even if we don't like it, computers making sounds that we created, and like these Moog synthesizers that were created decades ago, and electric guitars and amplifiers, or even just ancient simple instruments, you know, that our ancestors played, but it had this ability to create this ritual of this spiritual explosion, making people feel greater about themselves and the universe and Earth and their people. So music is amazing. I think it's, when it comes to art, music would be the greatest representation of man.
Any particular composer? I know you're a huge Bartók fan, for example.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would be hard to say just one. I have many favorites. The Baroque period, though, it sounds cliche because everybody always talks about these composers. You know, it'd be like in metal, always talking about the biggest bands. But Johann Sebastian Bach, the reason why he was and always will be considered the greatest composer of all time ever is because not only was he a master at the technique, and he just took everything to a level that was so extremely complex, mathematical, like he was like a scientist with his music. But but through that complexity, he never forgot to write beautiful music, and nice, beautiful music, not just boring, beautiful music, but also dominating and dark at times. Bach always said, I write and I play for God. And I don't care who his God was. I understand what he meant. It's not his fault. What God we're talking about, you pretty much were obligated to believe in, you know, what you were told to believe in. But when he sat at the organ and played and wrote, he spoke with God. To me, that God is the universe. And it's a different subject, but why? What's out there that's so powerful that we're drawn to? Why? Why do we always think about the stars when we play or we write or we lay back and look? Because that's where we're going. That's where we came from. And that's where we're returning. But yeah, his music would probably be my choice.
As an artist, you have expressed yourself in many different ways since you formed the Inquisition, music-wise and lyric-wise also. How would you describe your own personal artistic improvement or evolution you have been through?
Small steps. Trying to maintain traditionalism. I've never really wanted to evolve too much, progress a lot, but that's tricky because I want to get better at what I do. But I don't want to change too much what I'm doing. So think of, say, you make a box. That's what you do. You make boxes, and you make good boxes, and the box only has so many sides, right? But now you want to make a better box. So what are you going to do? You don't want it to get too big. You want it better, but what's better? And I'll leave that for everybody to think about. That's what I do with my music, and that's what I want to do, is small steps and make the little things, maybe bring them out more. Maybe those Inquisition moments that people like so much. Oh, when they say, man, your fast stuff is great, but I really like, that little bend you do there, or that tremolo, or okay, well, maybe on the next album, give them a little more of that, but not too much, and take away what I was giving them a lot of before. Maybe a lot of give and take, shifting, not adding, not adding more and more and more and more sides to that box. Just maybe minimizing some great things so they miss them. And it's a sacrifice I make, because you're making the risk of, well, they're not going to like this next album because now they're not going to have those moments. No, now they're going to appreciate that album. When the next one comes out, they're going to appreciate it more. It's like this last one we had, Obscure Verses. Some people, didn't like it right away, and some don't. But when this next album comes out, the contrast, it's going to open up that third eye that they had closed, and they're going to say, okay, actually, I think I understand that album now. So that's how I would describe it. Just small, subtle changes, take away a little, add something else new a little bit. Some people will say, oh, you're playing it safe. Yeah, I am, because I love what I do. I like this band, and I like the music I do, and I don't want to ruin it. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. But never assume you're perfect or you're great. So it's not about fixing things, nor is it about changing things. It's about balancing. Trying not to hold as many things as you can with these two hands. Just holding enough and being creative with what you have. It's like these 10 fingers. This is all I have. Do the best you can with those 10 fingers in these two hands. And same with the guitar. I only have a guitar, there's drums, there's one voice, and there's algorithms. So that's what you have. It's that box. So I hope I made sense.
It does.
So